On the news hour, I'm joined by ace lawyer, former Attorney General Mr. Mukul Rohatgi to decode not just the Supreme Court judgment, but also the situation in Maharashtra. Thank you very much, Mr. Rohatgi, for joining me on the news hour tonight. The Supreme Court today has validated the findings of the special investigation team that looked into the Gujarat riots of 2002. You represented the SIT in the Supreme Court, which has today given very scathing criticism of those who tried to cast aspersions on the SIT's integrity. I want to ask you, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, was this another attempt to somehow cloud the entire investigation process?
There is no doubt, Navika, that this was a motivated attempt to somehow, as the judgment uses the phrase, keep the pot boiling. And in fact, it was a phrase used by me, and the judgment acknowledges that. See, the idea was that to somehow make a attack on high functionaries in various services like the police, like fire services, and also attack the high functionaries of the government, the then Chief Minister, the then Home Minister of the state, who are currently the Prime Minister and the Home Minister today. The court has held that this was not only motivated, but this was an abuse of the legal process, because I had argued that this is not really Zakia Jafri who is protesting and keeping this kind of thing boiling, but it was some motivated forces behind her who were using her name, that she was merely a name lender. There were other forces which were behind it to somehow get at the then Chief Minister and other functionaries for their own political or private gains. And the court has validated our stand. And in fact, the SIT has been applauded by the court. It has come out with flying colors for what it did under quote-unquote trying circumstances. And every argument made by me for the SIT has found favor with the court in a thumping judgment of over 450 pages.
Mr. Rohatgi, the court also uses an expression and calls these people you have called are the people who were using the name of Zakia Jafri as protagonists of quest for justice sitting in air-conditioned offices. Do you think, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, it's time now to unmask who these forces were? Because this has carried on now for 20 years.
There is no doubt that it is time to unmask them or unveil them, and in the concluding portions of the judgment to bring them into the dock and take proceedings against them for vexatious proceedings and malicious proceedings launched by them after the SIT had completed its job. Charge sheets had been filed under the direct supervision of the Supreme Court. People were convicted, appeals were pending, yet for unknown reasons which are now clear, the idea was to somehow go on attacking the government, try to bring the then government and its functionaries, and to somehow, paint a picture before the Indian public today to say that what happened in 2002 was really the handiwork of government and its officers, not that it was spontaneous, and to somehow, keep a bright picture forever to castigate those in power at the relevant time. Yeah.
Will they ever be identified? I mean, everybody knows who was in opposition, but law will deal with individuals and evidences. Is it too late for that?
No, Navika, it's not too late for this. it was actually too late for this so-called protest petition, having been moved many years ago. But now, after the whole sordid saga is over and the court has delivered a judgment, the Supreme Court judgment is final. You see, you have to read the judgment and implement that part of the operative judgment which says that it is now time to unmask them and put them in the dock. What does that mean? Put them in the dock means take proceedings against them. Now, to take proceedings, one can start proceedings pursuant to this judgment to find out who those people are and take them, put them in the dock for, carrying on with a malicious proceeding and a malicious persecution. Not prosecution, but persecution.
There is another issue unfolding right here in India, and all action seems to be between Maharashtra and Mumbai and Guwahati today. Well, the government is in some sort of suspended animation, not in the way it is stated in constitutional terms, but at least for the people of Maharashtra, they don't know who the government is, because Mr. Shinde claims he has 50 MLAs, 40 of those are from the Shiv Sena, so he is the real Shiv Sena, and 40 is definitely, taking care of the anti-defection law. On the other hand, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray is still the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Nobody knows which way this is going, and today is the 4th day running.
See, Navika, it is clear that in practical terms, there is no functional government in the state. Ministers are not attending to their jobs. The Chief Minister is not attending to his job. The MLAs are not attending to their duties under the Constitution. A large number of them are chilling in Guwahati. There are some who are in Mumbai who are also, indulging in only in firefighting. So practically there is no government. That is number one. Number two, constitutionally, the government seems to have lost majority. Of that there is no doubt, because out of 55 MLAs of Shiv Sena, if 40 of them are not here, then obviously they have lost their majority. Now, if they have lost majority, somebody who claims majority must put forward a claim and then ask the governor to give them a chance to form the government. You cannot have a government in suspended animation in this form, which is not functional, not looking after the job it is supposed to do, not looking after what people's problems are. So the need of the hour for a functional democracy is that this group of 40 people or 50 people or whomsoever the amount they claim, if they and the opposition, namely the BJP, if they are aligning themselves either by merging or by holding hands, then they should get together now. A couple of days have passed. They should get together and request the governor to give them a chance to prove their majority.
Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, Shiv Sena Chief and the Chief Minister, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, has written to the Deputy Speaker asking for the disqualification of 16 MLAs. Can the Deputy Speaker do that? Will that matter land up in courts? Because in the Rajasthan experience, the matters are still in court, whereas the government is completing 4 years of its existence. मामला कोर्ट में चलता रहेगा, लोग सरकार बना लेंगे.
I happen to be the common factor in Rajasthan, in Karnataka and in Madhya Pradesh when Mr. Shivraj Chauhan was sworn in just before the pandemic. So I can tell you that this attempt to disqualify a few MLAs is completely an act of extreme desperation. The fact of the matter is, today also I saw with a big picture in the newspapers that all these MLAs are sitting together. So if they are sitting together and they have a breakaway group beyond 2/3 of the original strength, so 2/3 of 55 is about 37 or so. If they have broken away, or they have called them broken away, or called them they moved away, and formed a separate group, they do not incur disqualification under the 10th schedule. If they don't, so it is not Ayaram and Gairam. So if they don't, then really speaking, they are the real party because they are more than 2/3. How can 1/3 or less claim to be real parties? Then that's empty. Only the husk is there with people in Bombay or the Chief Minister. Now the Chief Minister himself has moved out. He has acknowledged defeat. What else is there? He has moved out of the house and gone to his own home. I mean, then he might as well say, all right, I resign and be done with it. I don't understand what kind of things are going on. While the other group should also come forward and stake a claim and be done with it.